The last few weeks of Indian politics have been quite unpleasant. We've already seen a lot of violence on the streets that the media has selectively reported or ignored as per their own agenda. That's the funny thing about the intelligentsia. People like Ram Guha, they're on a trip of their own, and their only logic in courting arrest is to strengthen their position as gatekeepers of public morality, especially of the vulnerable sections of society who believe whatever is thrown at them in a shiny wrapper. I've seen the visuals of these protests where they burnt buses and attacked cops, and some others where the cops retaliated. Schools were closed, the metro services were suspended in some parts of Delhi. So that kind of triggered some old memories in my mind from when I went to school in Kashmir. I was telling someone how it's funny that the schools in Kashmir were rarely closed even when the violence was raging with all the bombs and bullets in the 80s. Now compare that with today, how they shut them down, even if the temperature goes down a few degrees below normal. Anyway, so kids in my class used to play this game. When there was a bomb blast, they'd make a guess which area of Kashmir was being liberated and how many BSF Jawans were getting killed. Yeah, these were like 7-8-year-old kids. And as a Hindu kid in Muslim majority Kashmir, I learned how to be part of these games and pretended that I was also really keen on getting Azadi and for the establishment of Pakistani rule. And I celebrated the news of a BSF Jawan getting killed or Pakistan winning a cricket match with equally fake enthusiasm. I suppose the role play wasn't convincing enough, which is why ultimately we were served a notice asking us to convert, leave or die. Or worse, asking the Hindu men to leave and leave the women behind. Anyway, so on the historic night of January 19, 1990, we decided to pack our bags and leave. But those slogans never left me. Other than the vile slogans about leaving our women behind, there were overtly politico-religious slogans raised like, Yahan kya chalega, Nizam-e-Mustafa, Pakistan se rishta kya, La illa illallah. So when I hear the same kind of slogans raised in these protests now, I know exactly where this is headed. And let me tell you, it is not a happy place. What is that poem of Faiz that they are teaching you? Bas Allah ka naam rahega. Matlab pata hai uska? A few universities in India have earned a sort of a reputation for being perpetually outraged. It is almost like students enroll there not to pursue academic excellence, but as a stepping stone to some kind of a political career. Of course, most students are there just to study and get on with life, but even they get pulled into all the madness around them by the huge amount of peer pressure that they are subjected to. Your guilt trip to conform with political agenda of your teachers and peers, much like I was forced to celebrate the grenade attacks on Indian security forces. You are sold stories of detention centers, of gas chambers, of army excesses, and you're systematically trained to turn a blind eye to the images of cops getting beaten and armed CRPF Jawans getting slapped around by teenagers. Do you think that a hard fascist state takes that kind of nonsense from its citizens? Then there was this poster at one of the rallies that they had displayed, in which they had mutilated the Om symbol to make it look like, hold your breath, the Nazi sign. Now, this is not a mere desecration of a symbol. It is a breach of trust, a breakdown of public morality, a loss of decorum that precedes a genocide. That it is possible to put up such a banner in a rally and have it splashed all over the media without any fear of repercussions is not a measure of the freedom of expression that Indians enjoy. It is a sign of the contempt that a certain section of society holds for a particular religion and its followers. This section of society has never even bothered to pay lip service to 500,000 Kashmiri Hindus thrown out of the valley. We don't need their hollow empathy and lip service anyway, but it is important to point out why they have none for us. Because it threatens their bread and butter that they earn by manipulating young students into serving as cannon fodder for their Breaking India designs. But most students grow out of this stupid spell by the time they start earning anyway. The left is actually a parasite that feeds on genuine emotions of people who are looking for a place to invest them in. In the absence of any meaning in life, these emotions of yours are unutilized and waiting for an outlet, any outlet. The left finds you and dazzles you through the work of global alliances of artists and writers and filmmakers and whatnot. Things like BreadTube. And they ultimately manipulate you to serve their agenda of creating mayhem. Why? because they're also finding ways of distracting themselves from the lack of meaning in life. Don't be a victim of your pent-up existential rage. Find something greater than your puny existence to engage with. Choose excellence over outrage. Build a better society by transcending your fragile thought bubbles. Discover your roots rather than chopping off the branch that you're sitting on.